for anything in this place. Yeah. Let's give it up for coffee.
Yay, coffee!
All right.
Can we go yet?
Yeah. Should we start?
Please.
There it is.
Do you guys want to see a talk?
Yeah. Who wants to see? Hang on. This is the wrong slide deck. There we go. So, for those of you who just showed up because you saw our names and didn't actually read the synopsis,
Or because you heard there were girls here.
this talk, the target audience for this talk is going to be people who currently aren't working in InfoSec at all, but do have a love of the industry or what they think is a love of the industry or what the industry is, and are really trying to get a entry-level job, an analyst, a junior analyst, something like that. And this talk, the main goal of it is to help you at least get your foot in that door, to be able to get that interview, to have them look at your skill set and what you're up to and what you're into, and have them be able to go, I don't know, but let's give him or her a call.
Alternately, maybe you are sort of in the industry, and maybe you're in IT, and you have some security responsibilities, but you feel like you're just kind of revving the wheels, and you'd like to get a better handle on, okay, what do I do in order to get into InfoSec for real? You may be a mid-career IT professional. Last year, I talked to people, and I talk to people all the time, who aren't even in IT. I talk to people who are like, I'm a butcher. How do I get into information security? Because it really fascinates me, and I've studied a little bit of this. So how do I do that?
We had a sea captain.
Yeah, I hired a sea captain. So Johnny Christmas is a successful, to whatever degree, security professional, and
I can dress myself.
Yeah, and I hire security professionals all the time, so that's our credibility.
Yeah, I work in the industry. I have for many years. I interview people. I'm lucky enough to work at a place where the company has the entire team interview the person they're considering hiring. So I interview 10-ish people a year. So I know what we like to see, what we don't like to see. As the people on the team, the boots on the ground, we know what we want. And Eve is a recruiter who knows how...
Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to drop that. It just came out. And Eve is the one who knows how to make you marketable to the companies who are trying to hire, how to kind of get you guys to have that middle gray area where you both overlap and can at least get your foot in that door.
What Johnny's saying is that I see all of you as meat widgets. Just dollar signs above all of your heads. No, I do. I specialize in security recruiting, and I've recruited everyone from firewall jockeys to CISOs and on up. And this talk isn't about me. This talk is about you. This talk is about how to transition, if you're in IT, if you're in security, something better. If you're in IT, into security. If you're a sea captain, gaining basic skills. Yeah. So take it away, Johnny.
So what we're going to talk about here is breaking it down into 3 acts. And the second act is the sadder but more dramatic act, as is the norm. First off, we're going to talk about how to self-educate yourself, where to focus your self-education. We all know, like, oh, I can just look up anything on Google and figure out how to do it. But Google's a big place, and there's a lot of cats you have to wade through. And there's a lot of stuff you're really interested in. And so we're going to talk about where you need to focus your attention for at least getting your foot in that door, what you need to stop doing, what you need to start doing, and really narrowing that beam down into a laser to just get this stuff squared away. And once you get this basic stuff squared away, then you'll be able to branch out and go back to what you were doing. Eve's going to talk to you a lot about networking and networking with human beings. Not with these things. And a lot of the soft skills involved in that, how to network effectively, what to do at meetups, what to do when you're in a con instead of just wander around with your face in your book and show up to Johnny Christmas and Eve's talks.
To the signal in terms of, again, what you can find in doing self-study, what you can find in terms of networking, right? You can go to every talk. Right? You can shake everybody's hand. You can give everybody on earth your business card. but in order to actually start on a strategy of working on a security career, you've got to get the signal out of that noise. And we're going to talk about how you do that.
Who here is working in Infosec currently?
Yeah. Nice.
Look at
Nice.
this. Yeah.
Who here is happy in Infosec right now? It's okay. You are not. Oh, wow. That's astonishing.
I don't know where to go from here.
Yeah. Talk over.
Somebody want to come up here?
Right.
Okay.
So, let's hear a call out. If you're also happy, why are you at this talk? Please.
Yeah, and stickers.
I'm sorry, you're an admin? You're an adjunct professor. I'm sorry. Do you make almost $20,000 a year? So you make almost $12,000 a year. I'm sorry, and thank you.
Yeah. What do you got? Ben's not doing anything. You know Ben 10? He's always looking for someone to mentor. He's back here. He's like,
calling out the goons.
Yeah.
Of those of you who raised your hands and said you're happy in InfoSec, how many of you feel that you have buy-in from corporate? Okay.
Look at that. There's three, and one guy put his hand back down.
We're going to talk about that too. All right, let's keep going. Let's talk about self-education.
Okay,
right.
So the path to self-education is really wide and really deep. You can learn about anything ever now on the internet. And so, like I said, we're going to try and focus this down to what's going to help you be able to talk your way through an interview, talk your way into that first junior analyst job, to at least know the words and the basic functions of things, to go, yes, this, no, that.
Yeah, one thing I want to emphasize is I talk to a lot of people who maybe they have a CS degree, and that's great. I will never diss a CS degree. I will never say, yeah, that's terrible, that's useless. Although, privately, I kind of think, oh, you learned 4 years of Java. Sorry to hear that. My condolences. It was C++, but thanks. Cute. So formal education is great. You know, it's overrated, right? I think all of us who were alive in 2008 can attest to the idea that a sheepskin degree will get you a job. That's a lie. It's a total lie. It's a fiction.
At least in our industry.
At least in our industry.
Doctors need it.
Doctors need it, lawyers need it, but in IT and security, no. It's a lie that a degree will get you a job.
Yeah.
Or a cert, right? Who has the CISSP? Woo! Are you just here for the CPs? Because you're not getting any here. I'm not signing
that.
You're not getting any here. Ooh.
Yeah. Security.
Right.
You know, just. Yeah. All right. So
So what I'm talking about, and I'm a finish here. The idea that one sheepskin, one certification, one degree will get you a job is a lie. And what we want to emphasize here is that you're going to do a lot of your own learning. It's going to be thankless. It's going to seem pointless sometimes. It's going to seem directionless sometimes. We're going to try to help you get some direction on that. But it's all going to be self-guided.
Yeah.
Talk about it, Johnny.
So some of the best resources for learning specific realms of InfoSec are the ones that people like us have actually bothered to put together and teach to the public or have on our websites for the public, because we found that generally the stuff that's out there isn't good enough. And people like Joseph McCrae, Mark Carey have gone ahead and put together things that you can take if you want to learn basics of malware analysis, basics of iPhone forensics. There's plenty of really good free or inexpensive classes out there that these people put together, like I said, because they just felt that the material available wasn't good enough. So definitely those are a big plus. Ask around before you pay for one. If there's a pay one, make sure it's legit, because unfortunately this industry is exploding and there's a lot of scams out there trying to, I'm sure those of you unemployed watch a lot of daytime TV, you see the commercials for getting your Infosec degree through the mail, and there's just
You can also get your degree in taxidermy.
Or accounting.
Tax preparation, right. All kinds of things. Or information security. A
huge gap I see, which is at the same time a huge plus for getting your foot in that door, is learning to code. And that doesn't mean learning to be a coder up and down. You don't have to know 16 languages. You don't have to be a programmer, because you're not trying to be a programmer.
You don't have to be one of those developers that Bruce Potter hates so much.
Yeah, you're just learn the idea of coding, the basics of coding, the concepts of coding, what coding is, what the flow of coding is, how it works, and learn at least, get basically familiar with at least 2 languages, be able to write more than a whole Hello World program in one of them, and pick languages that are being used. Don't focus 6 hours on COBOL and Mindfuck a day, 6 hours a day.
Brainfuck.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought we were gonna get beeped up here. Where's the dump button?
So as a recruiter, I mean, even when I am recruiting somebody for a very entry-level, network-level, say, network pen tester, and I basically recruit 2 or 3 kinds of pen testers, network pen tester, app-level pen tester, both. I still, for network pen testers, I look for people who can code a little. Because honestly, if you can't automate stuff, if you can't automate processes at least a little bit in Python, you're going to waste a lot of time.
Yeah, and I'll cover that later. You need to be able to know at least 1 or 2 scripting languages.
And this stuff is dead simple to learn.
Yeah.
This stuff is like
Python is the easiest.
A
the best.
couple of hours on Code Academy. Zed Shaw has fantastic modules in Learn X the hard way. He's got Learn CLI the hard way, Learn Linux the hard way, Learn whatever, Python, Ruby, C. The list goes on. So there's infinite resources.
How many people saw the Exorcism.io launch recently? It was like 2 weeks ago. That guy. Did you launch it? Was it you? It's like, yeah, that was me. Exorcism.io is a really cool website where you learn to code by you get instructions on. It's just like class. You get taught new things in how to code, and then you're given exercises to use those new things in, as well as the things you already learned. But what's cool is once you complete your program, you submit your code, and a bunch of people review your code. A bunch of professionals in the industry who have volunteered to be on that side of the fence for Exorcism.io.
Except you don't need any credibility.
What's going on with the audio?
I don't know what's going on with the audio. Oh, my mic has a delay.
Yeah, so, and what's cool about that is they'll come back and go, yeah, that does work. However, what you should have done here and here and here to make it more efficient is this, this, and that. And so you're not just learning to code and not learning how the syntax works and how subroutines work in this specific language. You're actually learning how to be an efficient coder, and that's a huge deal. Efficient coding is a big deal. So I liked the idea of Exorcism.io a lot. What's that?
Everything we're talking about is free.
Yeah, it's definitely free.
Nothing in this talk requires one dime. And that's part of what we're trying to convey, that you can literally educate yourself for free. You can literally get into this industry for free. You don't have to pony up thousands of dollars like you may be used to.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go through every bullet point and every slide. That was added because people were complaining that they didn't like to take notes.
One thing.
And so it's up on this slide.
Let's talk about CTFs.
Yeah.
Briefly.
One of the biggest, my personal favorite way of learning is CTFs, capture the flags. How many people are doing the CTF here tonight?
God damn you people, get out there, do it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's the best. It's the most real world way that you can get some actual hands-on knowledge for the way that things actually work. CTFs are the best. And you think if you're not going because you're saying, I don't know enough to do the CTF, I'm not going to win the CTF. Well, most people who run marathons don't go to win. They run to they go to say, well, hey, I finished it. Ben, how many CTFs you won? Yeah.
How
Ben
many
won
have
0.
you run? Yeah.
Who have you run? Yeah. Ben runs CTFs. He makes puzzles for CTFs. He's not won any of them. And anytime, and I love calling him out on his failures. Yeah. I told you not to come. I don't know what else I can do for you.
So one other thing I'll say as a recruiter is that, obviously I view all of you as meat widgets off of whom I can profit enormously. I hope you all know that. So you're supposed to laugh at that. No, thank you. No, I love you all and the money you make me.
So CTFs.
So CTFs are a place that recruiters and other people with hiring opportunities do skulk around, and they will shoulder surf you, and they'll say, look at what this person is doing with malware.
They're here watching you.
Right. Yeah, we are watching you.
He's over there.
And, yeah. So, and the shyness Johnny mentions, that you feel like you can't contribute anything, that you feel like, I wouldn't have anything to say or do, or I couldn't join a team.
You don't know enough?
Or you don't know enough? Ben has something to say about that.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Anyone, and if there's no possibility that they can participate, that's the fault of whoever assembled that CTF. The CTF should run the entire gamut of very basic, easy SQL injection, all the way up to you have to write your own Android malware in order to solve the 3,000 point puzzle.
Yeah,
also, that's not what's going on at today's 3,000 point puzzle. Don't go down that path and spend all day reverse engineering something and writing your own malware for it, and it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I know. So I could tell stories all day. I know people who are .NET developers who are like, oh, I'm a .NET developer. Security people hate me. They're all so mean. They hate devs. I could not possibly contribute anything, right? And they come and there's a .NET vulnerability challenge, and they're like, oh, I got this. And all the, stuck-up security people are like, we didn't know what that was. And the developer fixes it. Or completely non-technical people who just ace a social engineering challenge. And just get into it, be friendly, ask questions.
Yeah, and it's great. And once you get those few, you'll get your confidence up, and then you'll try something harder, and you'll learn something because you tried something harder. Maybe you only solved 4, and it's because you spent all of Saturday on number 4 because it was something you didn't understand. But once you got number 4, you probably learned a whole lot of stuff you didn't know on Friday, and that's applicable stuff that you can take with you.
Yeah, just a last case study. I am probably the least technical person in this room. I'm a recruiter. I don't know anything. But I do have a linguistics degree, and on the crypto challenge at B-Sides Detroit last year, I got it in like 5 seconds while this guy was literally tearing out what little hair he had left. So everybody has something to contribute. Get in there.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about getting a lab set up. All right.
Oh, the sophisticated humor of Johnny Christmas. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Johnny, can you do the slides? Yeah, it'll be great. Totally professional. Yes. What are we, 15 minutes in and first toilet joke.
Bad decisions I've made for 500.
So, I know that who works in the IT industry right now? The vast majority of you. How many of you are IT equipment pack rats? Just, if it still works, why would I throw it out? Yeah, it's still the majority of you. Because we love this stuff. We love to have it. We know either we're going to need it one day or we just love to tinker with it. and it's great, and we love to play with things, we love to play technology. That's a big place where I see a lot of people lose focus when they're trying to learn security, is they want to get their hands on all the things, or they want to just use the things they have, and they want to really, really, really dive deeply into this firewall, and then they're not spending any time on anything else, or they're spending their time working with weird, obscure equipment, or setting up an asterisk box, which takes the better part of a year, if you're me, and not actually learning something that's going to be viable. And another part of the problem is some of this equipment it costs money, and it's cost prohibitive if you're not already super rich Infosec guys like we are. And so I tried to put together here what I think is the most cost-effective, minimalist lab for really getting a nice, well-rounded system to educate yourself with. Hardware-wise, you do need a little bit of hardware, and it's really cool these days because most things are virtualized, and you need less hardware now. You need less hardware now than you did when I gave this talk in the spring, and that's really cool because that means it's even less expensive.
We've talked to a lot of people who are like, we have no boxes whatsoever; it's all virtualized. How doable is that? How feasible is that?
It's actually, the more virtualized you become, the more complicated, the harder it is to get to that point. But what's really cool is at that point you're learning ESXi or you're learning VMware, so it's not necessarily a bad idea. Like here I say, get yourself like one Cisco switch, one Cisco router. Juniper's cool too because Juniper has a huge distribution as well. But the two different operating systems, and if you know both of those, that's really, really cool. But if you had to pick one, go with Cisco because that's in most of the shops. Cisco actually has a program called GSN3, GNS3. GNS, right? Yeah, GNS3, which virtualizes every piece of Cisco hardware that's out there. It does cost money, but what's really cool is then you don't even have to have any hardware. Except for, probably a hardware switch to just connect all your stuff up to. But you can even go that far. And GNS3 runs all of the Cisco OSs for all of their hardware. And so you're still getting that real world experience with all that, but you don't have a noisy piece of equipment in your house. Get an access point that's not a D-Link, Linksys access point, because you're trying to learn. Yeah, the Linksys ones are super easy to stand up and get going, but get something, I put here, get something off the OSWP list. That's the OSCP certification for wireless, and they have a list of access points that will allow you to be able to pass, their certification if you use one of these. And so grab one off that list because then you got it. Then you got another certification you can practice.
That's freely available. Just Google it.
Cheap network tab, not really necessary, but it can be depending on how you want to set the network up. As far as getting this equipment, you go, how am I going to afford a $15,000 Cisco router? Who are you?
Or a $200,000 Juniper router where if you fart around it, the entire eastern seaboard goes down.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Look, you don't need the top of the line current modern equipment. Absolutely not. You need 3-year-old equipment, 3 to 5-year-old equipment, and that is all over eBay. eBay is filled with it because companies get rid of this stuff after 3 to 5 years because that's when the support contract's up, or that's when the companies stop supporting this, and it ends up on eBay because they're like, well, we can either throw it in the dumpster or I can get $300 for this, $500 for this, or it does end up in a dumpster, and what it is it's the network admins fishing it back out and putting it on eBay to make a couple bucks in their pocket, which is very common, and that's usually what's going on. The other option is IT asset recovery firms. It seems like a really weird professional name, but I used to work for one, and they'll sell, a 32 meg stick of RAM to anybody who knocks on the door. And you're just like, I have $4. Can I have some RAM? And they're just like, yeah, cool, whatever. And so just Google that phrase in your area. Look it up on Google Maps. I didn't list any because all the ones I know are in the Chicago area, and it's like, just go find some. They're out there.
The reason we talk so much about labs is because as a recruiter, any good hiring manager in security is going to ask, what are you doing on your own? A lot of what you're going to be doing on your own, once again, is going to be in labs. Some recruiters, I know this is much ballyhooed, will be like, where's your CEH certification, or where's your CISSP? A lot. I've yelled and screamed about that issue in previous talks. I'm not really going to get into it. Suffice it to say, people who want you to perform as a security professional are going to want to know what you've done on your own. Really. Like, not for a sheepskin, not for a piece of paper. What do you do on your own? Not just does it display passion, interest that is sincere, that is not just, ooh, I heard there's money in security, ooh, I heard security is growing. But it shows me that you're keeping your finger on the pulse of current state vulnerabilities. Exploits are going on out in the wild.
And that applies even to those of you who already work in the industry. To get a new job, you have to keep your finger on that pulse, because the industry is a train, and you're running from it. And as soon as you stop learning, you stop running, that train's going to run you down, and then you're going to be an analyst the rest of your life. And not to insult analysts, but you would want to move up in your career.
Sure.
And that's usually what happens. Is I see these guys in IT all the time who just stopped learning at one point, and there they are, just doing base IR all day. And it's like, what happened with this guy? And it was he got his degree, and it was good for 5, 7, maybe 10 years of knowledge back when education was worthwhile. And
the antidote to that is having a lab, keeping yourself informed.
And to the same sentiment as the CTF, like passion, that's the concept we're trying to get across here, is to be able to show, look, I have a passion for this, to the point where I take my personal time and I do this stuff.
I do this when I'm not getting paid.
And you don't have to be the best at it. You don't have to be a god at ESX. Nobody's expecting that for an entry-level position. That'd be weird if you came up and I'm like, I'm an ESXi god. Well, what are you applying for this for? So don't get overwhelmed by what we're telling you to do and what you have to learn here. What we're telling you is you have to know is how this stuff works and how to make it work with everything else in this stuff.
Right,
And
again,
that's enough. That's cool enough for people to go, all right, this person, we can clearly teach things. They give a crap, because you can teach a monkey to do most anything given a long enough period of time, but you can't teach that monkey to care about it.
Right. Security is a very meritocratic culture. We talk about people who are elite and noobs and such, and it's very easy to feel like everybody's better than you. But all the people who are better than you because they sucked for years, because they failed for years.
Nothing teaches you like failure.
So get out there and fail. I encourage you to fail.
Yes. Give it up for failure.
Yeah, failure!
So, and other point I know on the hardware is if you're virtualizing things, which you should be, stand up an ESXi server. You don't need a $3,000 Dell box to do this. You can do it on a powerful desktop machine. You probably have one. You probably know how to build one on the cheap, because we've all been doing computers since we were 4. It doesn't have to be a serious enterprise box. You don't need 8 cores. You don't need 128 gigs of RAM. You just need something with a fast enough disk to handle a lot of the I/O that you're going to be doing with your security event management coming through there. I do highly recommend SSD disks for that. I know they're expensive. You don't have to. You can find some old cheap SCSI disks, or build a SAN if you really want, because that would work. And again, just go back to looking for that cheap hardware. It's out there, and you'll figure it out. While you're setting that up, your VMs you should have a separate VM for each realm or each set of applications, or sometimes each application you're trying to learn. Like,
please don't steal them from your employer.
And I'll get into specific applications later. But you need enough RAM to handle running that many OSs on a box. That's all right. RAM is cheap. And then when you're setting those up, in the meantime, because you've got all these different OSs doing different things, learn IP tables. Set up IP tables specifically for what that one VM is doing. Set up SE Linux for specifically that one. Don't just accept the defaults, because Linux administration is a huge must if you're doing Infosec. And it's unfortunately very lacking in the field. And so if you come in and go, I know Linux administration, and I mean basic stuff like IP tables, like user administration, like all the major binaries and cron, just that stuff. That is actually impressive because it's so rare that people come in with that knowledge.
I'm an atheist, but I will build a shrine to any god you want me to if I never again hear the words, I'm really a Microsoft guy.
Yeah. Great. Me too.
Please.
We all are because we have computers.
Right. Please, 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 learn basic CLI. Please. Please. I beg you. It's free. Zenshaw has various resources for it. It's all over the place. Like,
how much did Ben Zenshaw pay you for today?
I don't know. I'm
watching these little dollar signs roll by the screen up
like
here
that.
every time she says that. It's the weirdest.
It's an enormous amount. No, honestly, I want everybody to be comfortable in heterogeneous environments, or in Linux environments, or in Microsoft environments, or I don't care environments. Systems administration command lines should not be something that gets in your way when you're doing security.
Yeah. I missed the comedic timing on the slide.
Sorry.
That's the wrong slide.
Oh, that's the...
Next slide.
No, that's the wrong
Next
slide.
It's a good slide. Hang on. There we go. Aha, she got it.
Yeah, here they come.
There, let's give it up for Lauren.
I think that slide is only really funny to us. That's okay.
This guy is a dude who turned up on Reddit a while back, claiming to be a bodybuilder who's pushing 70. Any Redditors in here? That's it? That's the worst response I've ever gotten to a question.
Or the best response.
The few, the many, I guess, right? And so he's pushing 70, claimed to be a bodybuilder, and they're like, pics are GTFO, and he posted a whole bunch of pics, whole stuff, and then he says he's totally vegan.
He kind of looks like a package of hot dogs.
That's been out of the fridge a little too long. Yeah. All right, so anyway, that was the best picture I could think of for this title, and I apologize. It's totally inapplicable. Yeah, picture not related for you bee folk. So the main things that I really think that you should be running in VMs on your server for learning things are listed over there on the left. On the left.
Don't hurt yourself, Johnny.
Yeah, where's that coffee? And one of my favorites that just came out recently is Security Onion. And Security Onion, among other things, has a prepackaged Bro IDS built into there. And Bro IDS coupled
It's rad.
with it's rad.
Yay, bro.
It's the bee's knees. And Bro IDS coupled with your favorite aggregation engine. I love Elasticsearch, but Splunk is cool too. Splunk has more of a foothold in the industry, but Elasticsearch is very much up and coming. And if you learn Elasticsearch, you get the idea of how that stuff works, and you can apply it to Splunk and just learn the Splunk syntax. But unfortunately, Splunk is more common and valuable knowledge to have. And what we're talking about here is an intrusion detection system that monitors you feed all of your network traffic into it, and it looks for weird things, looks for anomalies. And it sends off alerts to you. It says, here's an anomaly, you should do something about this. And you go, cool, I get to do a thing. And then you get to look at that anomaly and read up on what that anomaly is and why it's important and why it happens. And then you get to go into your network traffic and find that anomaly and go and go what's happening.
Suddenly you know how boring network monitoring actually is.
Yeah. And then you just die.
Some people love it. Those people are weird. You're
yeah,
weird.
and then what you're doing is you're doing active hunting. You're doing real-time analysis. You're doing the exact analysis you're going to be doing in that junior or base analyst job.
It's like we're saying, you're doing something for free, and to die you're doing security. You're doing something that literally you don't have to pay for, invest all that much time in, but you're getting hands-on experience.
And you're going to invest a ton of time because you love it, because it's fun. It's fun, damn it. And what you're doing there is you're getting real-world experience. This is your answer to, how can I get a job doing InfoSec when I don't have any experience doing InfoSec?
What do I put on my resume when I don't have any InfoSec experience? You put, here's what I'm doing in my lab at home.
Yeah, you go, I have a year of experience running Bro IDS with Elasticsearch. And then they're going to go, oh, where'd you get that experience when you were working at Walmart? It's weird. And you're going to go, oh, I got it in my lab at home. And they're going to go, tell us about your lab. And then you're going to get all excited and tell them about your lab. And they're going to go, man, this girl's really cool.
Believe it or not, this is real. Believe it or not, recruiters, and I'm not, I'm a weird recruiter because I give a shit about technology and I give a shit about security, and most of us don't. And I have a brain between my ears, and most of us don't. But even recruiters without a brain between their ears, hiring managers specifically, the more technical they are, the better, but people do look for that. There's this mentality that you have to be getting paid to do something in order for it to count as experience.
Absolutely not.
Screw that. Just be done with that. Just chuck that out.
When I interview people, the first interview, very early in the first interview, one of my main questions is always, tell me what you got at home. What are you running at home? What are you doing at home? Tell me about your lab. It's very important because it shows and you'll get people with tons of experience coming in that don't have anything at home. Like, oh, I try to keep I just got my laptop at home. I don't really do this at home. And that tells me you don't really have a love for it. And that's cool if your company doesn't want employees who love what they do. And I think I've worked for a couple of those companies, and they're the worst companies on earth. I want people who love what they do because you get the best work out of people who love what they do. And they may not know everything you need them to know to start that position, but nobody will. And that's the other thing. Don't worry about competing and being like, well, I don't know everything this job wants. Nobody does. I've never, ever hired somebody who had 100% of everything we needed them to know to hit the ground running.
Don't be intimidated by those, kitchen sink, laundry list job descriptions. They're fake. They're total fictions.
Yeah, they're computer generated. And by computer, I mean human resources. Yeah, it's BS.
We could rant all day.
Yeah, and we will, trust me.
We will.
pfSense is a firewall you can run in a VM that teaches you all of your great firewall mechanics, really gets you the idea of what a firewall is and is not. You're going to learn the difference between a firewall and an IDS, which I see a lot of people don't understand. And I understand why that is, because not a lot of people are doing IDS off their Comcast modem in their house. Do it. And that's what I'm saying. People go, well, how am I supposed to do IDS and do traffic monitoring when I'm just a dude with a Comcast modem? And I'm like, you have tons of traffic going through that modem you don't know about. I promise you don't know about. Check it out. And you're going to find a lot of stuff you didn't want to find going through that Comcast modem. Because it's coming from me. And you're going to go down some rabbit holes, and you're going to learn a ton of stuff, and it's going to be great. Kali, who doesn't know what Kali is? Okay, I think we can gloss over that then. Was there one person? Okay. Yeah, you're going to run Kali. A point of note on that, Kali is not meant to be a default distro. It's not meant to be your main distro that you're using as your desktop OS. It's not for that at all. Using it as a desktop OS will break it because you have to break a lot of things in order to make it work for your daily routine. Stop using it. Stop using Kali as your desktop OS. It's ridiculous. There's plenty of other, just go ahead and use Debian. You're gonna need to set up a Windows server on there that is not something you're attacking. I know that sounds weird, but you need to know Windows. You need to know Active Directory. You need to know how to set up how domain management in Windows works because every company on earth uses Windows to manage their domain. Everybody uses Active Directory.
Hello folks, this is Iron Geek. Sadly, my Apple Media capture device decided to crap out at this point, so live audio and video froze up, and the rest of this talk is essentially just going to be the slides, unfortunately. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Johnny Xmas has apparently posted the slides out there where you can see them if you want to see them that particular way instead of in the video. And I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I'm working on trying to figure out a way to make the rigs a little bit more reliable.